This
everyone. Goodbye.
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so today we'll discuss about Apex triggers. I think I have to change this. So at the end of this unit, you'll know what are Apex triggers, what are the events in triggers, what are context variables, trigger handler class, order of execution, and you'll also see few examples. So Apex triggers. Apex Apex can be invoked by using triggers. Apex triggers enables you to perform custom actions before or after changes to Salesforce records, such as insertions, updates, updations, and deletion. Okay, so what it is? So Apex trigger is a piece of Apex, which is written to execute either before inserting a record or before saving a record to the database or after saving a record to the database. Okay, so Apex triggers are something similar to automations that you already learned, like workflows and process. If we talk about them, those are automatically happens when we create a Salesforce record or update. When we create update Salesforce record, a workflow will automatically fire and an email will be sent or the field will be updated. And if we talk about process, a notification message will be sent, a new record will be created, etc. Right? So when Salesforce record is created, there is some action happening through those automation tools. Apex triggers are also similar, but here with Apex trigger, we are going to execute the Apex code, right? Piece of code. And moreover, we can do more using Apex, right? More than workflows and process, right? So in workflows and process, we have limited actions. So we can't do more than those actions. But using Apex, we can do anything, right? And the difference between those and this, Apex trigger can be executed before saving the record and after saving the record. We'll see in detail. We use triggers to perform operations based on specific conditions, to modify related records or restrict certain operations from happening. We can we can write a condition in Apex Trigger before data is getting saved, and we can alter the data, or we can restrict the user. Before saving the record to the database, we can check some value, and we can tell the user, hey, you are entering the wrong data. You may ask, that can be done with validation rule. Yes, then that can be done. Few things can be done with validation rule also. We'll see the reference, what can not be done with validation rule and what can be done with triggers. We can use triggers to do anything you can do in Apex, including executing SOQL and DML, or calling custom Apex methods. We can do anything. We can include any logic. We can call any method in Apex triggers. We can also query, or we can also DML, do DML in Apex triggers. We'll see. Okay. We use triggers to perform tasks that cannot be done by using the point and click in the Salesforce user interface. So generally, we use triggers only if we cannot do something using point to click. That means admin. So, for example, if you want to send an email, welcome email, you can send it through Apex trigger, but we won't send because that can be done using workflows or process. In the same way, anything that can be done using workflow or process or any other tool, we will not use triggers. Only the complex scenarios which cannot be done using point and click will use triggers. Salesforce automatically fires active triggers when the specific database event occurs. If suppose a record is created, an account is created, automatically Apex trigger on account will be executed. We don't need to invoke them separately. If we create a trigger and activate it, it automatically executes. Okay. So we'll see the syntax and we'll see the examples. So these are the various DMLs, right? These are the various DMLs. Insert, update, delete, merge, upsert, and undelete. So a trigger in Apex code that executes before or after the following types of operations. So I didn't tell you about this merge and upsert. Insert is to insert the record, update is to update the record, delete is to delete the record, undelete is to restore. Once we delete, those records will be stored in recycle bin for about 30 days. So we can undelete to restore those records. Merge. Merge is a mix of DML. Merge means update and delete. Merge means merging two records, right? So if we find duplicate, or if we find uh, same data with two records, we'll merge them. So merge means updating one record and deleting other record, right? When two records are merged, one record will be deleted, the other record will be updated. Upsert means it's also a mix of DML, insert and update. Something like, if we pass an ID, the record will be updated. If we don't pass an ID, the record will be inserted. So in some cases, if we have a list where we may have both ID with ID and without ID, then we is upset. So I can say these are the events, right? These are the DMLs actually, but we can also consider these as events. So there are two types of triggers. One is before triggers, others are after triggers. Before triggers are used to update or validate record values before they are saved to the database. After triggers are used to access field values that are set by the system, such as record ID, last modified by ID, and to affect changes in the other records. The records that fire the after triggers are read only. Okay, so there are two types of triggers. One is before triggers, other is after triggers. So generally using before triggers, we update a record, we validate a record. In after triggers, we can read certain fields like record ID. If even we are first time inserting a record in after triggers, we'll have the ID and we'll have all the system generated fields, and also uh, we use this after triggers to create records. We'll see how to use all these things. But remember, the records that fired the after triggers are read only. Okay. So generally, we don't update a field after triggers. This is the syntax of a trigger. Trigger name, on object name, trigger events, and the code block. Trigger will not have class or method. Trigger will have trigger name, on object, events, and the code block. In the code block, we can directly write the logic. Okay, we don't need any methods here. And in this example, we are just debugging. However, so let us give it a try. So triggers results in every object. If we click on any object, you can see triggers. Or we can go to Apex triggers and see all the list of triggers in our org. If there are no triggers yet, so or we can go to developer console and find the triggers, open triggers. We'll get the list of triggers here, or we can create a new Apex trigger. Apex trigger is completely coupled, tightly coupled with an object. So whenever we create an Apex trigger, we need to select an object. So let's create a trigger on account. Let me tell my first Apex trigger, and let's say account. My first Apex trigger, and on account. Trigger name on account before insert. What is this before insert? We'll see. We talked about before triggers and we talked about this DMS. We'll see shortly. We'll see. Okay, I'll show you now. These are the various trigger events before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. We'll come back to it. But if we see this example, I just want to debug system.debug hello world. Okay. So when will this got executed? How to execute this trigger? Let this save. So I'll straight away go to account and create a new account and see what will happen. Okay, ABC for something. So I created an account. You can see there are some debugs printed. See, you can see my first trigger is executed automatically and I can see debug statement hello world, right? So if you analyze this debug log is nothing but the execution of the class. Something like what happens? Flow started with account, who's the user, then what is the trigger executed, when an account is created, then debug. Okay, we don't have much statements, but if we have so many statements, then everything is executed and everything will be showed here. Okay, and here there are some limits. We'll talk about these limits later. Then see, trigger is executed multiple times. Now it's scrolling like that. No, it's not executed multiple times. It executed only twice. Anyway, it's bluffing me, like it's scrolling, but you can see the scroll bar. But this debug statements are printed twice. Okay. So this trigger executed when I created an account. That means trigger executes only when we do a DML on the subject that we included here. So will it be executed when we insert an account here? We'll see that. Account ACC is equal to new account ACC dot name is equal to, let's say Reliance is also our customers. Let's say Reliance INC. Insert ACC. So this will create an account, right? Hello world, right? This trigger executed. Even if we create an account through Apex, this trigger will execute. And you can see this event, we can include all the events here. In this bracket, we give events. So here trigger events. This trigger events can be 7, total 7. Okay. So these are those 7 trigger events. Before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. Okay. You can include here. Before update, before delete. Okay. Only 3 befores. After insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. Okay. So total 7 events. We can include all, and this statement, this debug statement will be executed on all the events. Let's update. Let's update this record, the same record. Let's say record updated. Now let me update this record. Let's go back. A new debug statement is printed. I mean, new log generated. In this, you can see hello world record updated. And you can see it's debugged twice because before update and after update. So in update, there will be 2 events, right? Before update and after update. So we included both. That's why this debug statement printed twice, before update and after update. If we insert it, it will get inserted before and after. In the same way, if we delete, for delete also, okay, let's delete. Now I'm printing hello world record deleted. You may have a question. So can we execute, or can we debug the statement separately for insert, update, and delete? Yes, we can. We can use something called context variables. We'll come to them. Let's delete this record. So record is deleted. Here it is, right? Record is deleted. Again, I will modify the record, modify the trigger. Record I'll put undeleted. Close other tabs will close all the debug statements. Sorry, logs. Now, how to restore the deleted account? We can go to recycle bin and just select the account and restore. So technically, it is undeleted, undeleting a record. So you can see hello world record undeleted, right? So triggers can be used to perform some actions or execute some Apex code in these events, in any of these events. Before insert, before update, before delete, after insert, after update, after delete, after undelete. We can write these triggers on any accounts. If you see, there are two types of objects. Technically, one top level standard objects that you already know, all the account, contact, opportunity, etc. But there are other types of objects, something like content document, content document link, content version, then email message, so which are not actually normal accounts which a user can interact. So some accounts, sorry, some objects are there which cannot be accessed in the front end. Okay, so still we can write trigger on those objects. So I'll show you the list, or I'll give you the list of objects that an user can interact and the list of objects that cannot be done using it or accessed through admin. Those can be used. See, there is something called feed item, feed comment, note, okay, etc. Okay, lot of objects. So, but generally we use triggers for normal objects. Now, let us try something. Let us try. Okay, before we try, there is something called a trigger context variables. These are the various trigger context variables. There are about 12, total 12. So first we'll try to understand these: new map, old map. Okay, others we'll discuss later. But now we'll discuss about this new map, old map. First, new map. Sorry, new and old. New returns a list of new version of the SObject records. This SObject list is only available in insert, update, undelete triggers, and the records can only be modified in before triggers. And talking about old, returns a list of old version of the SObject records. This SObject list is available only in update and delete triggers. We'll talk about it. Okay, context variable. What is called context? Context means staying in the same talking about the same thing or staying in the same conversation or topic is called context, right? So there are two context variables initially. There are 12, but two context variables which are most commonly used. One is trigger.new, other is trigger.old. These two are context variables which has data. Now, for example, we are inserting an account. When we insert an account, when we are inserting an account, before this insert, there will be a version of the record, and after this insert, there will be other version of this record. So there will be two versions of this record, before insert and after insert. So this before insert version will be stored in trigger.new. This after insert version will be stored in trigger.old. Okay, so let's debug this trigger.new and trigger.old and see what will happen. Let me just comment this. I'm modifying this debug statements to understand what we, we are printing. Okay, so trigger.new and trigger.old. So now let us create a new account. In a new account, Amazon. Let me open the debug logs. So it's telling duplicate detected, but still record is created. So we got trigger.new, trigger.old, both are printed. So trigger.new got new version of data. Okay, I think I told you wrongly. So I told you this will have new version, this will have old version, not before after. So even before or after, trigger.new will have values, trigger.old also will have values. But trigger.old will carry the old data, old version from the database, new version from the user data, user, whatever the data you entered by the user. So if you can see here, the number 4 and 5, the line number 4 and 5 printed twice, right? So trigger.new has a record Amazon, name Amazon. See, with all the values null, but everything is processed. But if you see the ID is also null because it is before insert. But line number 4 again reprinted after this is after insert. So after insert, that means record is already inserted, so ID is generated, and you can see the name Amazon. But trigger.world will get the data from the database. So when we are inserting a new record, there is no record or no reference in the database. So it return null, right? So trigger.world will have old record. Trigger.new will have new record freshly entered by the user. So in insert, there is no old value. That's why old value is not printed. Only new value is printed. And top one is before insert, bottom one is after insert. So what about this update? If you see the update, all the four will be printed. We'll see. So now let me edit and enter an account number. So let's go back, open the debug statement, so debug logs. You can see all the four printed. Trigger.new, trigger.old. Trigger.old is the value fetched from the database. Account number should be in the beginning, right? Okay, anyways, this number 5 and again number 5 will have the record from the database, which is old record. When we click on edit, the old record is fetched and the new record, I mean a user will modify the record, that record will be new. So old record is from the database and new record is something which is entered by the user. So whatever the modifications happen, that will be available in new version. This is for update. In the update, this statements this statement will execute twice. These both statements will execute twice, right? And these are the statements printed. Okay. So in delete again, all the four will be printed. Let us see all the four or two. So in delete we have only old records because user will not enter any data here. User only will remove the data from the database. That's why only old has records, new will not have records. User will not edit, right? Delete means just sending the data from the database to the recycle bin. So that's why new will not have data, only old will have data. Okay. Okay. Now you understood. Trigger.new will have new data which is entered by user, and old trigger.old will have old data. We'll try a small example. What exactly or where exactly we'll use the trigger? We'll see a small example. So if a user edits this account and try to change the account number. So account number should not be changed if suppose we have a requirement like account number should not be changed. I just want to write a small logic here. So I will have this value, I'll have this, let me read. I'll have this record in trigger.old, right? Whatever the data I have here, I didn't enter anything, but whatever data that is already there in the database will be stored in trigger.old. And whatever I modify, for example, I modified it to something and save whatever the modified data. It's called new version. That new version is stored in trigger.new. So I have to compare both of them whether user has changed any value or not. So for that, first I need to loop this both. So remember, trigger.old or trigger.new is a list which will store multiple records depends on the process. Now here we update only one record, but if some bulk operation happens, something like data import, if we are importing thousands of records at a time, then the bulk operation will happen. Then this trigger.new or trigger.old will have bulk data. But how to process now? For account new record for an trigger.new, okay. So I use for loop because trigger.new is a list of account records. I took this list of account records and using account new record, if you remember this for loop, this is a list for loop. So using this list, I'm fetching the values to this variable and iterate, right? So in the same way, I'll write one more for loop inside for trigger.old. I'll name it as old record. Now I have new record and new record, old record and old record variable. So I'll compare if new record. So I have to compare the account number, right? The account number should not be changed by the user. Dot account number double equal to old record dot account number so I'm comparing account number in new record and account number in old record. If both are same, okay, if both are same, I don't need to send any error message. If both are not same, then I will send an error message. So how to send an error message? Old record dot add error you cannot change the account number on existing records. Framing these error statements are very important. An end user should understand this error message, not a technical person, right? So always remember, whenever you, of course, this kind of error message will be given by the client. Sometimes even if they don't give, try to frame the meaningful sentence. Okay. So now let us see how it works. Just want to hide the debug. Now let me change the account number. So I got an exception. Let's add it to new record. So why I got the error? So this I just added error message to the old record, which is in the database, but user is trying to save the new record that is new, right? That's why I got the error. You cannot change the account number on existing records. So that means user cannot change this account number. We'll try again. Right? You cannot change the account number on existing record. Let us see, try with some other accounts. But for accounts which doesn't have account number, okay, how to find out? So we can add an account number here. I hate this recently history. Recently viewed history. Account. So this is account number, second is account number. No, it's account site. So we'll change. We'll remove account site. We'll add account number and move it to the top. So I don't have account number for this GOT. What if I enter a new account number? Still I get an error, right? So we should stop an user if there is an account number existing and it is changed. So we'll slightly modify this trigger. We'll put or old record, okay, not or, and old record dot number not equal to null. That means old in old record number should be null and it should be changed, right? If it is null, it should be changed. If it is not null, then if someone changed, then only we should throw the error. So now let us try saving the saving this record. So we can save this record, but we cannot change the existing account number, right? So can we do this using validation rule? Definitely yes. We can do the same validation using validation rule, but I just want to show you how to compare, how to see the values in trigger.new and see the values in trigger.old and compare and throw a error message. Okay, I'll give you this code. I'll stop today. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow, this week, we will completely talk about triggers. Triggers are very important topic. So please spend some time and come back with the questions. So you'll have time this weekend also for triggers. So tomorrow we'll discuss about all other context variables and we'll see more examples and we'll see the complex things. Then we'll talk about trigger handler, then order of execution. So tomorrow all the concepts will be completed. Day after tomorrow, I'll show more examples. We'll see at least 5 to 6 examples in triggers, various examples with variations. Okay, think I'm done for the day. You can ask any questions if you have. Okay, coming in order. Meenal, any questions?
No, Bala.
Okay. Rajendra, any questions?
No questions, Bala.
Okay. Navya, any questions?
No, Bala.
Okay. Nisha, any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. Indu, any questions?
No, Bala.
Okay. Santi, any questions?
No, Bala.
Okay. Probably if you that your hands, so you'll be getting questions by tomorrow. Let's see. So, but triggers, these are triggers. Please spend some time and please come back with the questions so that you will learn more and others also will learn more. Okay. Okay then. Bye for now. We'll meet tomorrow. I'll immediately send the code, and I'll send this presentation and the before one also. I think I didn't send you, and I have some examples on Apex as well as figures as documents. By evening, I'll send those documents to you. Okay then. Bye for now. See you tomorrow. Signing off.
Bye, sir. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you. Same to you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Welcome.